Today, we're diving into the hidden dangers all around us. The ones we can't see, but that can have a huge impact on our health and our happiness every single day. I mean, think about it. We're pretty good at avoiding the dangers we can see coming, right? But what if the really big risks are the ones we're not even aware of in the first place? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to hunt down these hidden threats in 3 different places: at work, inside our own minds, and yep, even in our own homes. We're going to use science to make the invisible visible. All right, our first stop is the workplace, and we're going to investigate a threat that literally millions of people are exposed to every day: dust. Now, this isn't just any old dust. We're talking about something called crystalline silica. It's this tiny microscopic particle that comes from sand and soil. If you work in mining, construction, or manufacturing, you're breathing this stuff in all the time. And that's a huge risk for serious lung diseases like COPD. So, this got scientists wondering, is there any level of this stuff that's actually safe? To figure it out, they dug into data from German miners and tested 4 completely different theories about how this invisible dust actually damages our lungs. Okay, so each of these models is like a different hypothesis. Model 1 is kind of like a bucket. Your lungs can handle a certain amount of dust each day, and it's only the overflow that causes any real harm. Model 2 is more of an all-or-nothing deal. If you go over the daily limit, the entire day's exposure counts as damage. Model 3 suggests you have a lifetime limit, like a health bar that slowly goes down over the years. And Model 4 says, hey, maybe that safe limit actually gets smaller and smaller as your lungs get weaker over time. So the researchers went to work. They looked at over 7,000 lung function measurements from more than 1,400 miners. And after running all the numbers, one model just worked. It explained the data way better than all the others. And this number right here, this is the key. The winning theory, Model 1, it pointed to a constant annual exposure limit of just 0.09 milligrams per cubic meter. It's an incredibly tiny amount. Below this level, your lungs' natural cleaning crew can basically sweep the particles out. But here's the bottom line. The second you cross that line, the dust starts to build up. It overwhelms your body's defenses and starts causing damage that you just can't undo. It's a scientifically defined tipping point, and it is shockingly small. All right, let's switch gears to our next hidden threat. This one isn't floating in the air we breathe. It's actually inside our own minds. Let's talk about procrastination. Yeah, we tend to write off procrastination as just a character flaw, right? It's laziness or maybe bad time management. But what if that's all wrong? This quote from a study's author hints that it's not about character at all. It's about emotion. You know the common assumption: people who procrastinate are just unmotivated or they can't picture the reward of getting something done. Well, a new study decided to challenge that very idea by looking at people's actual personal goals. And what they found is pretty fascinating. Sure, the high procrastinators were less confident and thought their goals were harder to achieve. But, and this is the wild part, they could imagine succeeding just as clearly and vividly as the low procrastinators. So being able to picture a good outcome, that wasn't the problem at all. So if that wasn't the issue, what was? Well, it all came down to one thing: anxiety. Specifically, the anxiety they felt when they thought about failing. And that feeling went through the roof for short-term goals. The ones with a deadline breathing down your neck that feel way more urgent and threatening. So this totally flips the script on procrastination. It's not a failure of willpower or imagination. It's an emotional coping strategy. We put off a task to get an immediate dose of relief from the bad feelings, the anxiety, the stress that the task is making us feel right now. Okay, for our final deep dive, we're coming home. The one place where we all feel the safest. And we're talking about ticks. So let me paint a picture for you. An unfed tick catches a ride inside on your dog, or maybe on your pant leg. How long do you think it can actually survive inside your house, just waiting for its next meal? A couple of hours? Maybe a day? Well, researchers actually looked into this, and the results are pretty eye-opening. A Gulf Coast tick can last an average of 25 days on a vinyl floor. And check this out. The lone star tick actually survived the longest on a long shag carpet, hanging on for an average of 15 days. And that's the truly shocking part here. This threat doesn't just go away overnight. These little guys can survive in a normal, dry home for at least a week, and sometimes way longer. That's a persistent, hidden risk to you, your family, and your pets. Okay, so what can you actually do about it? Well, the researchers have some simple, really effective advice. The second you get inside, do a check. A lint roller is your best friend. Use it on your clothes, your pets, even yourself. And then toss your clothes into a hot dryer to take care of any stowaways. So let's pull all this together. We've looked at microscopic dust, a powerful emotion, and a tiny little pest. 3 really different threats, but they all teach us the exact same lesson. We learned that there is a very specific, invisible line where dust at work becomes truly dangerous. We saw that procrastination isn't a character flaw, it's driven by that invisible feeling of anxiety. And we found out that a tiny tick in your house can be a hidden threat for way, way longer than any of us thought. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. It doesn't matter if the threat is in our lungs, our minds, or our living rooms. Our best defense, our most powerful first step, is simply awareness. Knowing the threat is there, that's our shield. So that's what we have for you, but the real work, it starts now. And we just want to leave you with one final question to think about. What invisible threat will you be on the lookout for tomorrow?